I'm Rebecca Miller, 36, and I never thought I'd be sitting in my car crying outside my niece's birthday party venue that I wasn't allowed to enter. My sister Emma's words still echo in my head. "Don't bother coming, it's just for VIP kids. Yours can join online." She scoffed when I objected. 2 years ago, we were inseparable sisters raising our children together. Now I'm blocked from her Instagram, and my daughter Sophie is devastated watching her cousins celebrate through a laggy Zoom call. What changed? The day my husband's startup made us millionaires while Emma's family struggled. I'd love to know where you're watching from today. Before I dive into how my sister's jealousy tore our family apart and the unexpected way karma eventually came knocking, please hit that like button if you've ever dealt with a jealous relative. Subscribe to join our community of people healing from family drama. Now, let me take you back to where it all began. Growing up, Emma and I were the definition of inseparable despite our 3-year age gap. She was my protective older sister who let me tag along with her friend group, defended me against bullies in middle school, and taught me how to apply makeup before my first dance. Our parents always joked that they'd accidentally created a two-headed daughter instead of two separate girls. We shared clothes, secrets, and dreams about our future families. By some cosmic alignment, our adult lives unfolded with remarkable symmetry. Emma married Kyle, her college sweetheart, in a beautiful June wedding. Almost exactly a year later, I married James, whom I'd met at my first job out of college. Emma gave birth to twins, Lily and Noah, and just 4 months later, I welcomed my daughter Sophie. Our children grew up more like siblings than cousins, spending so much time together that Sophie's first word was actually Lily for her cousin Lily. We established a sacred tradition of Sunday family dinners that rotated between our homes. Every summer, we rented adjacent beach houses for 2 weeks of shared vacation bliss. Our husbands became close friends too, often grabbing beers together or organizing family fishing trips. Kyle had a stable corporate job in marketing that provided their family with a comfortable upper-middle-class lifestyle. He was methodical, risk-averse, and proud of his steady climb up the corporate ladder. James, on the other hand, was a dreamer. 3 years into our marriage, he left his engineering position to launch a tech startup with 2 college friends. The early years were lean and uncertain. We lived on my teacher's salary while James poured every spare dollar into the company. There were months when I secretly worried about making mortgage payments, but I believed in James and his vision. Throughout those uncertain years, I was there for Emma through her darkest moments. When she suffered a devastating miscarriage after the twins, I took unpaid leave to help with Lily and Noah while she recovered both physically and emotionally. When our father died suddenly from a heart attack, I arranged the entire funeral because Emma was too overwhelmed with grief. We leaned on each other, supported each other, and celebrated each other's victories, no matter how small. Yet beneath Emma's warm sisterly affection, I occasionally glimpsed flashes of competitiveness. She'd make subtle comments about how her house was slightly bigger than ours, or how Kyle received another promotion. She'd share her children's accomplishments with an undertone suggesting they were outperforming Sophie. I always brushed these moments aside, attributing them to normal sibling dynamics rather than anything concerning. Our parenting styles differed significantly. Emma ran her household with military precision. Structured mealtimes, strict bedtimes, limited screen time, and a carefully curated selection of educational activities. I adopted a more relaxed approach, valuing spontaneity, creative play, and following Sophie's natural curiosities. Despite these differences, we respected each other's methods and even joked about being the drill sergeant and hippie moms who complemented each other's strengths and weaknesses. During the years when James's business was struggling, I occasionally needed Emma's help. She would casually cover Sophie's ballet lessons during tight months, or accidentally buy too many groceries and insist I take half home. I accepted this assistance graciously, knowing I would return the favor when able. We shared a dream of eventually sending our children to Westlake Academy, a prestigious private school known for its exceptional education and influential alumni network. The first sign of change appeared when Emma met Laura at a school fundraiser for the twins' elementary school. Laura, with her perfect blonde bob and tennis-toned physique, came from old money and was married to a prominent surgeon. She took an immediate liking to Emma, inviting her to join the school's parent association committee. Emma began mentioning Laura with increasing frequency, dropping references to Laura's vacation home in Aspen or her children's horseback riding lessons. Soon, Emma's appearance began subtly changing. Her practical mom haircut was replaced by an expensive layered style. Her sensible wardrobe gradually incorporated designer pieces that I knew stretched their budget. She started declining our Sunday dinners with excuses about committee meetings or events at Laura's country club. When she did attend family gatherings, she would check her phone constantly or steer conversations toward her new social circle's activities. Our mother noticed these changes before I fully acknowledged them. During a private moment while washing dishes after one Sunday dinner, Mom whispered, "I'm worried about Emma. She seems to be chasing something that won't make her happy." I defended my sister, suggesting she was just enjoying new friendships. But deep down, a small voice wondered if Mom was right. The last normal holiday we spent together was Thanksgiving at our parents' home. Emma arrived wearing a cashmere sweater I recognized from a boutique where I could never justify shopping. Throughout dinner, she peppered her conversation with references to exclusive events and name-dropped her new friends. When our mother asked about Christmas plans, Emma hesitated before confirming they'd join our traditional family gathering, adding, "Though Laura has invited us to their ski chalet in Vail." I caught Kyle's expression, a flash of discomfort that suggested this was news to him too. That night, as James, Sophie, and I drove home, I confessed my growing unease about Emma's changing priorities. James, ever the optimist, assured me, "Family bonds are stronger than temporary social climbs. She'll find her way back to what really matters." I desperately wanted to believe him, unaware that our own circumstances were about to change dramatically, accelerating the transformation in my sister that had already begun. For 4 years, James and his partners had been developing software that enabled real-time language translation through augmented reality glasses. Their early prototypes were promising but plagued with latency issues and battery limitations. Investors were interested but cautious, providing just enough funding to keep the company afloat while withholding the major capital needed for expansion. I'd grown accustomed to James's cycle of enthusiasm followed by setbacks. Each breakthrough was countered by a new technical challenge. When he came home one evening, practically vibrating with excitement, I prepared my supportive face, the one that balanced encouragement with tempered expectations. But this time was different. "Becca, we fixed the latency issue," he explained, pacing our kitchen. "The new algorithm reduces processing time by 83%. The battery now lasts 8 hours instead of 2. And the accuracy rate is up to 97% across 14 languages." Technical jargon usually went over my head, but even I understood this was significant. Still, years of financial uncertainty had made me cautious. "That's wonderful, honey. Does this mean you might get that next round of funding?" James laughed, a sound of pure joy I hadn't heard in years. "Better. Tech Global sent an acquisition offer this morning. They want the entire company and technology portfolio." The number he showed me on his laptop screen seemed unreal, too many zeros to comprehend. After taxes and splitting with his partners, we would walk away with approximately $15 million. Our lives had changed overnight. James and I spent several sleepless nights discussing what this meant for our family. We agreed on several principles. We wouldn't dramatically change our lifestyle. We would set up trusts for Sophie's education and future. We would invest responsibly. We would increase our charitable giving. And most importantly, we wouldn't broadcast our new financial status to the world. "Money changes how people see you," James said, "and rarely for the better." I agreed, thinking specifically about how to handle the news with Emma. Given her recent fascination with wealth and status, I worried about her reaction. We decided to keep the information within a tight circle initially. I waited until our scheduled sisters' lunch the following week to tell Emma. We met at our usual casual bistro, and I waited until our meals arrived before sharing the news, downplaying it as much as possible. "So, something pretty big happened with James's company," I began, stirring my soup unnecessarily. "They've been acquired by Tech Global." Emma's eyebrows shot up. "The Tech Global? That's incredible. Is James keeping his job?" "No, the founders are all stepping away. They're mainly interested in the patents and technology. So he's looking for a new position? Emma asked, her brow furrowing in concern. I took a deep breath. Actually, the buyout was substantial enough that he's taking time off to consider his next move. We're in a good financial position now. Emma's fork paused midway to her mouth. How substantial are we talking? I hesitated, then decided honesty was best between sisters. After everything, about 15 million. Emma's face cycled through several emotions so quickly I couldn't identify them all. She finally settled on a bright smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. My little sister is a millionaire. Wow. I'm happy for you. She asked appropriate questions about our plans, nodded at our conservative approach, and even joked about not hitting us up for loans. On the surface, it was the supportive reaction I'd hoped for. We hugged goodbye in the parking lot, and I drove home feeling relieved. That relief was short-lived. Emma became increasingly quiet in our family text chain, responding with brief messages or just emojis. Twice, I called and heard her quickly end another call before answering mine. Once, I clearly heard her say to someone, presumably Kyle, I have to go. It's Rebecca calling again. The real eye-opener came when I stopped by Emma's house unexpectedly to drop off a book she'd mentioned wanting to read. Her car was in the driveway. But when I rang the bell, no one answered. As I turned to leave, I heard Emma's voice through the partially open window. It's ridiculous. They're acting like nothing's changed, like they're still the same people. You should see Rebecca, still driving her 5-year-old SUV and wearing clothes from mall stores when she could buy a designer wardrobe without blinking. If I had that kind of money, I'd at least upgrade my life. I froze, keys clutched in my hand, as my sister continued. No, they're not sharing it. I'm her sister, for God's sake. She could at least offer to help us with the twins' college funds or something. Kyle says I shouldn't expect anything. But isn't that what family does when they get a windfall? I quietly returned to my car, the book still on the passenger seat, feeling like I'd been punched in the stomach. The sister I thought I knew, the one who supported me through James's lean startup years without judgment, seemed to have vanished. The following Sunday dinner at our parents' home was thick with tension. Emma announced they were beginning a major home renovation, describing elaborate plans for a gourmet kitchen, expanded primary suite, and backyard pool with an outdoor kitchen. It's such a good investment in this market, Emma explained. Not quite meeting my eyes. Kyle's up for another promotion, so we're finally ready to create our dream home. Later, as she detailed the imported Italian marble she'd selected for the bathrooms, she made a passing comment about new money people who don't understand the value of quality investments. Her eyes flicked to me briefly, making the target of her remark unmistakable. When our mother expressed concern about the cost of such extensive renovations, I gently offered, "If you need any help with the project, Emma, just let us know." Emma's face hardened. "We don't need your charity, Rebecca. Not everyone requires a tech buyout to afford nice things." The table fell silent. My father awkwardly changed the subject to the weather forecast, but the damage was done. After dinner, Emma declined coffee and dessert, claiming the twins had homework requiring her supervision. As their car pulled away, my mother squeezed my hand. "Give her time," she whispered. "She's processing a lot of feelings right now." Over the next few weeks, Emma canceled our plans with increasing frequency. Sophie came home from school crying because Lily told her they couldn't have playdates anymore because they were too busy with important people. When I tried to arrange our annual beach vacation, Emma claimed they'd already committed to spending the summer with Laura's family in the Hamptons. With each rejection and excuse, my worry deepened. I wasn't losing just my sister Sophie was losing her cousins, her second family. As I tucked her into bed one night after another canceled dinner, she asked in a small voice, "Mommy, does Aunt Emma not like us anymore?" I smoothed her hair back, swallowing the lump in my throat. "Aunt Emma is going through some changes right now, sweetheart. She still loves us very much." But even as I spoke the reassuring words, I wondered if they were still true. Spring arrived with a thick envelope in Emma's mailbox, her official invitation to join Oakmont Country Club, sponsored by her new friend Laura. She called me, uncharacteristically giddy, to share the news. The membership had been fast-tracked through Laura's family connections, bypassing the usual 2-year waiting list. The initiation fee alone was over $75,000, with annual dues approaching $30,000. You and James should apply too, Emma suggested, though her tone lacked genuine enthusiasm. I could ask Laura to sponsor you. That's really generous, I replied, but country clubs aren't really our thing. We prefer public parks and community pools. Oh. The disappointment in her voice was palpable. Well, I thought since you could easily afford it now, you might want to join. The networking opportunities are incredible. 2 weeks later, against my better judgment, I changed my mind and asked Emma to submit our names. James thought it might be a way to bridge the growing gap with Emma's family, giving our children regular opportunities to play together in a place Emma clearly valued. When Emma called to tell me the membership committee had rejected our application despite her and Laura's recommendations, I was surprised by how genuinely upset she seemed. It's ridiculous, she fumed. Everyone knows you have the financial qualifications. Laura is mortified. It's really not a big deal, I assured her. We weren't that invested in joining. You don't understand, Emma insisted. It's about legacy. They're only accepting multi-generational members right now unless the applicant has exceptional social standing. And we don't have exceptional social standing? I asked, trying to keep my tone light. Emma sighed. Tech money is still new money, Becca. It doesn't carry the same weight as established wealth. I'm only in because of Laura's family connections. The comment stung, but I let it go. What I couldn't ignore was the birthday party Emma hosted for the twins at the country club the following month. Sophie was invited, but the experience was painful to watch. The party featured a professional photographer, custom-designed cake from a celebrity baker, and gift bags containing items that cost more than what many parents spent on the actual gifts. Emma introduced me to her new friends as my sister, the teacher, despite the fact I'd left teaching 2 years earlier to focus on our family foundation. Sophie returned from the party clutching her expensive gift bag but uncharacteristically quiet. Later, she confessed that Lily had instructed her not to mention that they were cousins to the other guests. She said her friends wouldn't understand why I don't go to Westlake Academy like they all do, Sophie explained, her voice small. When the twins' acceptance letters to Westlake Academy arrived, Emma's social media transformation accelerated. Her Instagram, once filled with casual family photos and funny twin anecdotes, became a carefully curated display of their privileged lifestyle. Professional photos showcased the children in pristine uniforms beside their custom monogrammed backpacks. Weekend posts featured tennis lessons, equestrian competitions, and charity galas where Emma posed alongside Laura and a woman named Kimberly, who I learned was the unofficial queen of their social circle. I was surprised when my application for Sophie to attend Westlake was rejected, especially after James made a substantial donation to their science program. When I mentioned this to Emma during a rare phone call, she paused before suggesting, "Perhaps you should have donated to the arts program instead." Kimberly chairs that committee, and she has significant influence with admissions. I didn't realize school admissions required strategic donations, I replied, unable to keep the edge from my voice. That's exactly what I mean, Becca. You don't understand how these systems work. It's not just about money, it's about relationships and social capital. You and James have the financial resources, but not the connections or understanding of how to leverage them properly. The final blow came at Thanksgiving. Emma arrived 3 hours late, explaining they'd had brunch at Kimberly's estate and couldn't possibly leave early. The twins were dressed in matching outfits that cost more than our mother's monthly pension. Throughout dinner, Emma checked her phone constantly and steered every conversation toward her new social circle's accomplishments and connections. For Christmas, Emma presented everyone with elaborately wrapped designer gifts, everyone except James, Sophie, and me. We received generic gift cards with no personal message. When Sophie opened hers, confusion clouded her face. "Did Aunt Emma forget what I like?" she whispered to me. Later, I overheard Emma explaining to our mother, "Rebecca's family doesn't need expensive gifts from us. They can buy whatever they want now." After New Year's, Emma's son Noah had a sleepover birthday party. Despite Sophie and Noah being inseparable their whole lives, Sophie wasn't invited. When I questioned Emma, She explained that it was just for his school friends and that Sophie wouldn't know anyone. That night, Sophie cried herself to sleep, clutching the friendship bracelet Noah had made for her the previous summer. I tried repeatedly to have an honest conversation with Emma about the growing rift between our families. Each attempt was deflected with vague excuses about busy schedules, different social circles, or the twins demanding academic and extracurricular commitments. When I directly asked if she was deliberately distancing herself because of our financial situation, Emma gasped in theatrical offense. "Not everything is about your money, Rebecca," she snapped. "Some of us are just busy building meaningful social connections while raising our children with certain values and expectations. If that makes you feel excluded, perhaps you should examine your own insecurities." After that conversation, I stopped trying. The sister I had known and loved my entire life had vanished, replaced by someone I barely recognized. As winter turned to spring, I mourned that relationship while watching helplessly as Sophie grieved the loss of her beloved cousins. What I didn't realize was that the worst betrayal was yet to come. For as long as I could remember, Lily and Sophie had celebrated their birthdays together. Born just 2 weeks apart, they'd shared a party every year since they were toddlers. Even when the girls developed different interests, we found creative ways to accommodate both half-princess, half-dinosaur cakes. Mornings at the ballet studio followed by afternoons at the science museum. These joint celebrations were sacred family traditions, strengthening the girls' bond as both cousins and friends. As Lily's 10th birthday approached, I expected Emma to call about our usual planning session. When weeks passed without mention, I finally texted her, "Should we start planning the girls' birthday? Sophie's thinking science theme this year, but she's flexible." Emma's response came hours later. "Actually, we've already booked something for Lily. It's at an exclusive venue with very limited capacity." My stomach tightened as I typed, "Oh, I'm sure we can make it work for both girls like always." "What's the venue?" "It's the Garden Room at the Bellevue Hotel. Very high-end. Sophie might feel out of place with Lily's friends from Westlake and the club." I stared at my phone in disbelief. "Emma, we've always celebrated their birthdays together. This will break Sophie's heart. Kids need to learn disappointment sometime. Sophie will understand." 3 days later, a courier delivered an elaborate invitation to our home. The custom-designed card featured a watercolor illustration of Lily in a garden setting, surrounded by butterflies and flowers. Lily's enchanted garden party was written in gold calligraphy, along with details about the 5-star venue. Sophie's name was conspicuously absent. That evening, I called Emma while James took Sophie for ice cream. "I received Lily's invitation today," I began, trying to keep my voice steady. "There seems to be a misunderstanding. Sophie's name isn't included." "There's no misunderstanding," Emma replied coolly. "As I mentioned, the venue has limited capacity. We had to be extremely selective with the guest list. But Sophie is her cousin. They've celebrated every birthday together since they were born. Lily wanted a sophisticated event this year. Just her close friends from school and the club. Emma, please. Sophie will be devastated. She's already planning her gift for Lily. Don't bother coming, it's just for VIP kids. Yours can join online," Emma said dismissively. "We'll set up a Zoom link so Sophie can watch the festivities." "Are you serious right now?" My voice cracked. "You're excluding your own niece from her cousin's birthday and offering to let her watch other children have fun on a screen?" Emma scoffed. "Don't be so dramatic, Rebecca. Not everything is about Sophie. Lily deserves a special day with her friends. I'm being generous offering the Zoom option. Most of the other mothers wouldn't even do that." I hung up without another word, tears streaming down my face. How had we arrived at this point? The sister who had once helped me through 18 hours of labor when Sophie was born was now casually excluding that same child from a family celebration. When James and Sophie returned, I tried to hide my distress, but James immediately knew something was wrong. After Sophie went to bed, I broke down completely, sobbing in his arms as I explained Emma's cruel exclusion. James's face hardened in a way I rarely saw. "That's enough," he said firmly. "I've supported your attempts to maintain this relationship despite Emma's increasingly toxic behavior, but this crosses a line. She's deliberately hurting our daughter. It's time to step back from this relationship. But she's my sister, I whispered, though my defense felt hollow. And Sophie is our daughter, James countered. Our first responsibility is to protect her. The following morning brought the impossible task of explaining to Sophie why she wouldn't be celebrating with Lily this year. I found her in her room, carefully drawing a birthday card featuring her and Lily in matching garden fairy costumes. "Sweetheart," I began gently, sitting beside her on the bed. "I need to talk to you about Lily's birthday." Sophie looked up, her eyes bright with excitement. "I'm making her a special card. And can we get her that fairy garden kit we saw at the bookstore? She told me last summer she wanted one just like mine." My heart constricted painfully. "That's a lovely idea for a gift. But honey, this year's celebration will be a little different. Aunt Emma has planned a party just for Lily's school friends." Sophie's smile faltered. "But we always have our birthdays together." "I know, sweetie. And I tried to make that happen this year too. But Aunt Emma wants to do something different." "Did I do something wrong?" Sophie asked, her lower lip trembling. "Is Lily mad at me?" "No, absolutely not," I assured her, pulling her into a hug. "Sometimes adults make decisions that don't make sense. This isn't about anything you did. Can I still go to her party? Even if we don't share?" The question I'd been dreading. "The party is just for Lily's school friends. But Aunt Emma said we can watch on a video call." Sophie pulled back, confusion and hurt clouding her eyes. "Watch on a computer? But not actually go?" "I'm so sorry, sweetheart." "But I'm her cousin," Sophie whispered, tears spilling onto her cheeks. "We're family." Despite my heartbreak, I honored Sophie's wish to buy Lily the fairy garden kit. The day before the party, we drove to the Bellevue Hotel to drop off the carefully wrapped gift. In the lobby, we encountered Laura and her daughter Madison unloading multiple shopping bags for the event. "Rebecca! Sophie!" Laura exclaimed with obvious discomfort. "Are you helping with setup?" "No, just dropping off Lily's gift," I explained, noting how Sophie shrank against my side. "Oh, that's thoughtful." Laura's eyes darted around, avoiding direct contact. "I thought Emma mentioned you couldn't make it tomorrow." "We weren't invited," Sophie said quietly. "I have to watch on the computer." Laura's face flushed. "I see. Well, we should get these supplies upstairs." "Madison, say goodbye to Sophie." Madison, dressed in an outfit that perfectly matched the invitation's color scheme, gave a small wave. "See you tomorrow on Zoom, I guess." In the car, Sophie was unnaturally quiet. "Those were all party supplies, weren't they?" she finally asked. "I think so, yes. If the room is too small for me, why can all those other kids come?" I had no answer that wouldn't reveal the cruel truth. The next day, we set up the computer in Sophie's room so she could watch her cousin's celebration. The video quality was excellent, providing a perfect view of the elaborately decorated venue. 30 girls in designer dresses participated in flower crown making, fairy-themed crafts, and an elegant tea service. Professional entertainers circulated throughout the room, performing magic tricks and creating elaborate balloon sculptures. When the towering butterfly cake was brought out, all the guests gathered around Lily to sing. Sophie sang along quietly from her bedroom, her voice breaking on the final "Happy Birthday to You." As Lily blew out her candles, surrounded by her fashionable new friends, Sophie whispered, "I wish I was there." I watched my daughter's face as she observed her cousin opening dozens of lavish gifts, including the fairy garden kit we'd given. Lily briefly held it up with a perfunctory thank you before moving on to the next package without acknowledging who it was from. Sophie's expression crumpled, and she clicked the red Leave Meeting button. "I don't want to watch anymore," she said, climbing onto her bed and curling around her pillow. I sat beside her, rubbing her back as she cried quietly. "I'm so sorry, sweetheart. Why doesn't Lily want to be my friend anymore? Why doesn't Aunt Emma like us now? Is it because of the money Daddy got?" The perceptiveness of children never fails to amaze me. Sophie had identified exactly what I'd been refusing to acknowledge. Sometimes, I began carefully, when people's circumstances change, it can change how they see the world and the people in it. But that's about them, not about you. You haven't done anything wrong. When James came home and found us both red-eyed and subdued, he didn't say a word. He simply joined us on Sophie's bed, enveloping both of us in his arms. Later, when Sophie had fallen asleep, I broke down in the car, releasing all the hurt and anger I'd been containing for Sophie's sake. "I don't recognize my own sister anymore," I sobbed. "How could she do this to a child? To her own niece?" James held me as I cried, offering no platitudes or solutions, just the steady comfort of his presence. When my tears finally subsided, he said quietly, "Sometimes the family we choose is more important than the family we're born into. We'll help Sophie through this, and we'll build connections with people who value her for who she is, not what we have." 2 weeks later, a small package arrived in the mail, Lily's thank you notes for her birthday gifts. The card inside was clearly pre-printed, with no personal message acknowledging our special gift or our absence. It was the final confirmation that whatever had once existed between our families had been thoroughly destroyed by the toxic combination of Emma's insecurity and newfound status obsession. News of Sophie's exclusion from Lily's birthday spread quickly through our extended family. My mother called me the morning after the party, her voice tight with controlled anger. Did Emma really set up a Zoom call so Sophie could watch the party she wasn't allowed to attend? She demanded without preamble. Unfortunately, yes, I confirmed, exhaustion evident in my voice. Sophie watched for about 20 minutes before it became too painful. "I raised her better than this," Mom declared. "I'm calling her right now." Later that day, Emma texted me, "Thanks for turning Mom against me." Very mature. I didn't respond. There was nothing left to say. Over the next few weeks, family members began taking sides. Our Aunt Patricia, always close to Emma, suggested I was making mountains out of molehills and that children needed to learn that life isn't always fair. My cousin Mark, whose daughter was Sophie's age, was outraged on our behalf and canceled his family's annual summer visit to Emma's home. Emma skillfully crafted a narrative portraying herself as the victim of my jealousy. According to her version, which several relatives repeated back to me, I had become insufferably arrogant after coming into money and was punishing Emma for maintaining her authentic lifestyle by turning family members against her. Some relatives, particularly those who only saw snippets of our lives through social media, found this story convincing. The traditional Miller family Thanksgiving dinner, hosted by my parents for 25 years, was officially canceled when half the family declined to attend if the other half would be present. My mother, caught in the middle of her daughter's feud, was devastated. She arranged separate weekend visits with each family, further cementing the division. Christmas brought its own painful adjustments. We accepted an invitation to spend the holiday with James's parents in Colorado, relieved to escape the tension of navigating family gatherings in our hometown. My parents visited for an awkward 2 days before departing to spend Christmas Eve and Day with Emma's family. No one directly stated that they were choosing sides, but the message was clear in the careful scheduling and divided celebrations. In January, during a rare visit to my mother's house that happened to coincide with Emma dropping off the twins, I overheard her telling someone on the phone that James's company was on the verge of bankruptcy and that we were putting on a good show, but the money's practically gone. I confronted her immediately, stepping into the kitchen where she was speaking. "James's company was acquired over a year ago," I said evenly. "We're financially secure. Why would you tell people otherwise?" Emma ended her call abruptly. "It was just conversation. Don't be so sensitive." It was a deliberate lie, and we both know it. "Fine," she snapped. "Maybe I'm tired of everyone acting like you've got everything figured out. Perfect Rebecca with her perfect family and perfect bank account. Is that really how you see me, after everything we've been through together? All I see is someone who came into money and promptly forgot where she came from. You don't even try to fit in with normal people anymore." The absurdity of her statement coming from someone who had systematically excluded us from her life because we didn't fit her new social aspirations left me speechless. My mother entered the kitchen, sensing the tension. "Girls, please," she began, but Emma cut her off. "Save the lecture, Mom. Rebecca's made it clear she thinks she's better than the rest of us now." "That's not true," I protested. "You're the one who changed after you got rich?" Emma interrupted. "Yes, I changed. I got tired of being looked down on by my little sister, who suddenly thinks she's too good for family traditions and responsibilities. What traditions have I abandoned? I demanded. You're the one who excluded your own niece from her cousin's birthday party. It was one party. But you've been flaunting your wealth since the day James sold his company. The fancy foundation, the charity galas, the museum board position, all while pretending you're still just regular people. It's insulting to those of us who actually live in the real world. Emma. My mother interjected firmly. That's enough. Emma grabbed her purse. I'm taking the kids home. Get your coats, she called to the twins, who appeared silently in the doorway, wide-eyed at the adults' confrontation. Emma, wait, my mother pleaded. I bought presents for everyone. At least take them before you go. We'll get them next time, Emma replied coldly, ushering Lily and Noah toward the door. As they left, I noticed Lily clutching a small gift bag that my mother must have already given her. Noah's hands were empty. After they departed, my mother sank into a kitchen chair, looking older than her 68 years. I don't know what to do anymore, she admitted, tears welling in her eyes. I never imagined my daughters would become strangers to each other. The following week, my nephew Noah called me from a friend's phone. His voice was hushed and anxious. Aunt Rebecca? I'm not supposed to call you, but I wanted to say hi to Sophie. Mom took away my phone when she found out I was texting her. I struggled to keep my voice steady. Sophie would love to talk to you, Noah. She misses you very much. I miss her too. And you. Mom says we're not supposed to talk about you or Uncle James at home anymore. She gets really mad if we do. His voice dropped even lower. I saved half of my birthday money to buy Sophie a present. Can I mail it to you? Of course, sweetheart. But won't your mom notice if you mail something? I'll have my friend's mom help me. She knows what's going on. She thinks it's really messed up. That 10-minute conversation with my nephew broke my heart all over again. Not only was Emma actively preventing her children from maintaining a relationship with their cousin, but she'd also created an environment where they had to sneak around just to maintain basic family connections. As winter turned to spring, the extended family fragmented further. My father's sister, who had always been close to both Emma and me, stopped inviting either of us to family functions, declaring she was too old for this drama. Cousins who had once gathered regularly for barbecues and holiday celebrations now arranged separate events, carefully managing invitations to avoid conflict. At my mother's birthday dinner in April, only 5 family members attended what had once been a 20-person celebration. My mother picked at her food, her usual joy in family gatherings notably absent. When she opened her gifts, she commented softly, "It's just not the same without everyone here." Emma sent a text message that day. "Stop poisoning the family against me. Your vendetta is getting pathetic." I didn't respond, but the accusations stung. I had never disparaged Emma to any family members, even when they directly asked what had happened between us. I had simply stepped back, focusing on protecting Sophie from further hurt while grieving the relationship I'd lost. James suggested we both start therapy to process the family rejection. "This isn't something you just get over," he said gently. "And Sophie needs to see healthy ways of handling loss." I began weekly sessions with Dr. Lydia Carter, a family therapist who specialized in estrangement. Those hours became a safe space to express the anger, confusion, and grief that I carefully contained around Sophie. Dr. Carter helped me understand that I couldn't control Emma's choices or perceptions. I could only manage my own responses and boundaries. "Your sister is creating a narrative where you're the villain," Dr. Carter explained. "Responding defensively only reinforces that narrative in her mind. Sometimes the healthiest response is no response at all." By summer, I had stopped checking Emma's social media accounts and asked mutual friends not to update me on her activities. I focused instead on building new traditions for our small family and strengthening connections with friends who valued authenticity over status. Sophie, resilient in ways that amazed me, threw herself into new friendships and activities, though she occasionally still asked questions about her cousins that broke my heart. In late August, an email arrived from Emma that made my blood run cold. "I know what you've been doing. Stop poisoning our family against me with your lies and manipulation. Your jealousy is transparent to everyone. If you continue spreading rumors about me, there will be consequences." I showed the email to James, who immediately contacted our attorney. "This borders on harassment. he said worriedly. And it shows she's becoming increasingly untethered from reality. The attorney advised documenting all communications but not engaging. Responding will only escalate the situation, she cautioned. From what you've described, your sister is creating conflicts where none exist and then reacting to these imagined provocations. I followed the advice, filing away the email without responding. But that night, I cried myself to sleep, mourning not just the sister I'd lost, but also the version of her that now existed only in my memory, the Emma who had once been my closest friend, my confidant, my unwavering support. That Emma was gone, replaced by someone I no longer recognized, and I had no idea how to process that unique form of grief. In October, nearly 2 years after James's company was acquired, my cousin Diane called with news she'd heard through the family grapevine. Did you know Kyle lost his job? Massive corporate downsizing. Emma hasn't said anything publicly, but my husband works in the same industry and heard directly from Kyle's colleague. I wasn't sure how to respond. Part of me felt a twinge of satisfaction, immediately followed by shame for having such a thought. That's unfortunate, I said carefully, especially with their lifestyle and the kids in private school. That's just it, Diane continued. Apparently, they've been living way beyond their means. The renovated house is mortgaged to the hilt. Kyle's been trying to keep up with Emma's spending, but it's been a house of cards. Now it's all collapsing. I thanked Diane for the information but asked her not to update me further. It's healthier for me to maintain distance, I explained. Despite my request, news about Emma's situation filtered through various family channels. Her Instagram posts became increasingly desperate in their portrayal of perfection. Professional photos showed the twins in their Westlake uniforms beside inspirational quotes about authentic living and rising above negativity. Weekend posts featured elaborate home-cooked meals and backyard gatherings that seemed designed to counter rumors of financial trouble. In November, our mother mentioned casually that Emma and Kyle had listed their house for sale. They're looking for something more manageable, she explained. Clearly uncomfortable. The twins are getting older, and they don't need so much space. I nodded. Not pressing for details she obviously didn't want to share. I hope they find something that works better for them. 2 weeks later, my phone displayed Emma's name for the first time in months. I almost didn't answer, but concern overcame hesitation. Rebecca? It's me. Emma's voice was unnaturally bright. I hope I'm not catching you at a bad time. No, it's fine, I replied cautiously. Is everything okay? Everything's great. Actually, I'm calling because Kyle has an amazing business opportunity, and we thought James might be interested in getting involved. It's a tech-adjacent venture with incredible growth potential. The awkward pitch caught me completely off guard. After nearly 2 years of estrangement and hostility, Emma was calling as though nothing had happened, asking for investment in her husband's opportunity. I appreciate you thinking of us, I said carefully. But James has a policy against mixing family and business investments. It can complicate relationships. But this is different, Emma insisted. Kyle has detailed projections showing 300% growth in the first year alone. And family should support each other, right? The irony of her statement after years of exclusion and hostility wasn't lost on me. I understand, but I need to respect James's boundaries on this. I hope you can find suitable investors. Fine, Emma snapped, her friendly facade cracking instantly. I should have known better than to ask. You've made it clear where your priorities lie. Emma, I began, but she had already hung up. A week later, I ran into Laura at the grocery store. She spotted me first and approached with obvious discomfort. Rebecca, hi. Do you have a minute to talk? We moved to the store's cafe, where Laura fidgeted with her coffee cup before speaking. I owe you an apology. A significant one. For what exactly? I asked, genuinely confused. For believing Emma's lies about you and your family. She took a deep breath. Emma told everyone you were unstable, jealous, and financially irresponsible. She said you were obsessed with status and constantly trying to outdo her. She claimed you'd threatened to cut her off from family events if she didn't include you in her social circle. I sat in stunned silence as Laura continued. I believed her completely until I met your mother at a fundraiser last month. She mentioned how graciously you've handled Emma's behavior, and how worried she is about Emma's grip on reality. It made me question everything Emma had told us. "Why are you telling me this now?" I asked. "Because I participated in something cruel. The country club rejection, the school admissions issue, the birthday party, all of it was orchestrated by Emma to exclude your family while maintaining her victim narrative. She convinced us you were the villain, and we never questioned it." Laura looked genuinely remorseful. "The truth is, Kimberly and I are distancing ourselves from Emma. Her behavior has become increasingly erratic as their financial situation deteriorates." I drove home in a daze, trying to process the revelation that Emma had actively worked to destroy my reputation within her social circle while simultaneously portraying herself as my victim. The depth of her manipulation stunned me. Part of me wanted to expose her lies, to clear my name with everyone who had believed her false narrative. The opportunity for revenge was right there. Laura would likely support my version of events now. But what would that accomplish? It wouldn't restore our relationship or heal Sophie's hurt. It wouldn't erase 2 years of deliberate cruelty and exclusion. Instead, I decided to focus on what I could control, healing myself and protecting Sophie from further pain. A week before Christmas, I received a text message from my nephew Noah. "Can Sophie meet me and Lily at the park tomorrow? Mom says it's okay." I was skeptical but agreed, arranging to bring Sophie to the neighborhood park where the cousins had once played regularly. To my surprise, both twins were there, supervised by Kyle rather than Emma. He looked tired, the confident corporate executive replaced by a man clearly carrying heavy burdens. "Thanks for bringing Sophie," he said awkwardly. The kids have missed each other. As the children raced toward the playground, clearly overjoyed to be reunited, Kyle and I sat on a bench in uncomfortable silence. "I owe you and James an apology," he finally said. "I should have intervened long ago." I nodded, waiting for him to continue. "Emma's not. She hasn't been herself for a long time. The obsession with status, the financial strain, it all became too much. I'm still trying to understand how we got here." "Where is here exactly?" I asked quietly. Kyle stared at the ground. "We lost the house, the cars, the school tuition, everything. We're moving into an apartment after Christmas." "I'm sorry to hear that," I said sincerely. "The worst part is watching Emma confront reality. She's built this entire identity around wealth and status she never actually had. Now it's all gone, and she doesn't know who she is anymore." As we watched the children play, their laughter a poignant reminder of simpler times, I caught a glimpse of Emma sitting in her car at the edge of the parking lot, watching us. Our eyes met briefly before she looked away, starting her engine and pulling out of the lot without a word. The encounter left me with complicated emotions. There was no satisfaction in seeing Emma's carefully constructed world collapse, only sadness for the relationship we'd lost and the pain her children were undoubtedly experiencing. As Sophie reunited joyfully with her cousins, I realized that my anger toward Emma had gradually transformed into something closer to pity. The sister I'd loved was trapped somewhere inside a person who had lost her way, and I wasn't sure if she would ever find her path back. Over the next 6 months, Emma and I maintained a careful distance, communicating primarily through third parties regarding family logistics. I continued my weekly therapy sessions, gradually processing the complex emotions surrounding our estrangement. Dr. Carter helped me understand that forgiveness wasn't about excusing Emma's behavior but freeing myself from the burden of resentment. "You can acknowledge the harm done without letting it define your future," she explained. "And you can set boundaries without closing the door completely." James and I focused on creating new family traditions to replace those we'd lost. We organized a weekend hiking club with families from Sophie's school, establishing monthly adventures that soon became highlights of our calendar. We hosted casual Sunday brunches for friends and neighbors, deliberately fostering the relaxed, authentic community we valued. Sophie showed remarkable resilience throughout the ordeal. Though she occasionally asked questions about her aunt and cousins, she adapted to our new normal with grace. I enrolled her in a community theater program, where she blossomed in ways that might have remained dormant had we continued our previous family patterns. My relationship with my mother gradually healed as she stopped trying to mediate between her daughters and instead respected the boundaries I'd established. When she mentioned Emma, which she did less frequently as time passed, it was without pressure or judgment. "Emma is making her own choices," she said during one visit. "I love both my daughters, but I don't approve of how she's treated your family." Through our foundation work, James and I connected with several genuinely wealthy families who approached life with humility and authenticity. The irony wasn't lost on me. While Emma had desperately sought acceptance from the affluent, we had unintentionally built relationships with people who possessed the financial status she coveted but valued the very authenticity she had abandoned. In June, Kyle called to ask if the twins could spend a weekend with us while he attended job interviews in another state. "Emma's not in a good place right now," he explained vaguely. I agreed immediately, eager for Sophie to spend time with her cousins despite the complicated adult dynamics. When Kyle dropped the children off, I was struck by how much they'd changed. The designer clothes and rehearsed politeness were gone, replaced by typical kids in regular clothes with genuine smiles. Noah hugged me tightly, whispering, "I missed you, Aunt Rebecca." Lily seemed more hesitant, but by dinner, she was chattering comfortably about her new school and friends. Later that evening, while sorting laundry in my bedroom, I came across an old photo album from before the estrangement. Page after page captured moments of sisterly love. Emma and me building sandcastles with the children, celebrating holidays together, supporting each other through life's challenges. Tears blurred my vision as I traced Emma's smiling face in a photo from Sophie's baptism, where she had served proudly as godmother. That night, I wrote Emma a letter I never intended to send, pouring out years of hurt, confusion, and lingering love. I acknowledged my own mistakes in handling our conflict and expressed hope that someday, somehow, we might find a way forward, not to restore what was lost, but perhaps to build something new from the ashes. When Sophie asked directly if we would ever be close with Emma's family again, I gave her the most honest answer I could. "Relationships between adults are complicated, sweetheart. Sometimes people make choices that hurt each other, and trust takes a long time to rebuild. I can't promise that Aunt Emma and I will ever be close again, but I can promise that I'll never stand in the way of your relationship with Lily and Noah." As the twins prepared to return home Sunday evening, Lily approached me hesitantly. "Mom cries a lot now," she confided. "She misses the old days, but she doesn't know how to say sorry." I hugged my niece gently. Growing up is hard, even for adults sometimes. We all make mistakes. "Will you hate her forever?" Lily asked bluntly. "I've never hated your mom, Lily. We're sisters, and that doesn't just disappear, even when we're not speaking." I chose my next words carefully. Sometimes people get lost and need time to find their way back. The weekend visit opened a small door in the wall between our families. Kyle began bringing the twins over regularly, initially without Emma, but gradually our interactions thawed. I didn't push for reconciliation or apologies, instead focusing on rebuilding the children's relationships while maintaining healthy boundaries. By late summer, I had reached a place of peaceful acceptance. The acute pain of betrayal had subsided, replaced by a melancholy recognition that relationships sometimes change irreparably. I no longer lay awake replaying past interactions or imagining confrontational scenarios. Instead, I focused on gratitude for the loving family I still had and the new connections we'd formed. What I didn't realize was that life was about to offer an unexpected opportunity for healing that neither Emma nor I could have anticipated. Exactly 1 year after Lily's infamous VIP Kids Only birthday party, I found myself organizing the annual fundraiser for Children's Memorial Hospital through our family foundation. We had chosen Bridges of Hope as the theme, emphasizing connections that help children facing medical challenges. The symbolism wasn't lost on me, though I hadn't consciously selected it as a reflection of my personal circumstances. The event was being held at the Bellevue Hotel, the same venue where Lily's exclusive party had taken place. I had hesitated when the committee suggested the location, but ultimately agreed it was the most suitable space. Perhaps facing the site of that painful memory would provide some closure. I was reviewing last-minute details with the event coordinator when a familiar voice behind me caused me to freeze. "Rebecca?" I turned slowly to find Emma standing awkwardly in the hotel lobby, clutching a small purse. Gone were the designer clothes and perfectly styled hair. She wore a simple blue dress that I recognized from years ago, and her hair was pulled back in a practical ponytail. "Emma." My voice sounded strange even to my own ears. "What are you doing here?" "Mom mentioned you were organizing this event." She gestured vaguely around the lobby. I thought, maybe we could talk? If you have time. We moved to a quiet corner of the hotel bar. Neither of us ordered anything. The tension between us too thick for casual pleasantries. "I don't know where to start," Emma finally said, her voice barely above a whisper. "Why now?" I asked. The question that had been foremost in my mind. "It's been a year of silence." Emma stared at her hands. "Because I finally hit rock bottom. Kyle left 3 months ago." "I'm sorry to hear that," I said, meaning it despite everything. "Don't be. It was a long time coming." She looked up, her eyes red-rimmed but dry. He couldn't take the lies anymore. The pretending. The constant struggle to be someone we weren't. I waited, sensing she needed to continue without interruption. "I was so jealous of you, Rebecca. When James's company got acquired, something inside me just snapped. All those years of supporting you through the lean times, expecting that someday we'd be the successful ones, and then overnight, you had everything I'd been working toward. We never changed how we lived," I pointed out quietly. "That almost made it worse. You could have had anything, everything, and you chose to stay the same. It felt like you were judging my aspirations, my desire for something more." "I never judged you, Emma. I know that now." She dabbed at her eyes with a tissue. But at the time, all I could see was my own insecurity. Laura, Kimberly, that whole crowd, they seemed to have everything I wanted. When they accepted me, it felt like validation. I was finally special, finally important. "At the cost of your family," I said, unable to keep the hurt from my voice. "Yes." Emma's voice broke. "The twins ask about Sophie constantly. Noah keeps the friendship bracelet she made him in his treasure box. Lily cries sometimes about how mean she was to her cousin." She took a shaky breath. "And I miss my sister, the person I was closest to my entire life. You hurt us deeply, Emma. Sophie was devastated by your exclusion." "I know. There's no excuse for how I treated her. How I treated all of you." Emma's shoulders slumped. "We're living in a 2-bedroom apartment now. The twins share a room. I'm working as an administrative assistant at a dental office. Everything I thought mattered, the house, the club membership, the social status, it's all gone. And now I can see what I sacrificed to chase it. Part of me wanted to offer immediate forgiveness, to bridge the gap between us with a single gesture of reconciliation. But the deeper wounds remained, and pretending otherwise would only set us up for future disappointment. "I appreciate your apology," I said carefully, "but rebuilding trust takes time. A lot of it." Emma nodded, wiping away tears. "I understand. I don't expect forgiveness right away. I needed you to know that I see what I did now. How I let jealousy and insecurity poison everything good in my life." As we sat in that quiet corner, the past year's events hanging between us, Emma asked hesitantly, "Do you think the kids could spend time together again?" "Noah and Lily need Sophie in their lives. The children have always been welcome to maintain their relationship," I replied. "Sophie asks about them often." "Maybe. A dinner? All of us?" Emma suggested tentatively. "If you're comfortable with that." I considered the offer, weighing my lingering hurt against the potential benefit for the children. We could try. One step at a time. 2 weeks later, Emma and the twins joined us for a simple dinner at our home. The initial awkwardness gradually gave way to cautious conversation. Sophie and her cousins disappeared into her room, their excited chatter suggesting the cousin bond remained intact despite the interruption. As Emma helped me clear the dishes, she commented softly, "Your home feels exactly the same. Warm. Comfortable." "We never wanted to change that," I replied. "I know. That's what I couldn't understand before, that happiness isn't about what you have, but who you are." She placed a stack of plates on the counter. "Kyle got a job offer in Phoenix. He wants the twins to move there with him. Will you let them go?" I asked, surprised. "Part-time. We're working out shared custody." Emma's hands trembled slightly. "I'm trying to do what's best for them. not what feeds my ego. Over the following weeks, our families established a new, careful rhythm. Sunday dinners resumed, though with different expectations and boundaries. Emma attended a few sessions with my therapist, both individually and with me, working to understand the patterns that had led to her destructive choices. When Emma mentioned struggling to find suitable employment with her limited work experience, I hesitantly offered to connect her with our foundation's administrative director, who needed an assistant. Emma accepted gratefully but insisted on going through the full interview process without special treatment. 3 months after our first tentative reunion, Emma and I met for coffee, just the two of us, deliberately echoing our sisters' lunches from years past. The conversation flowed more naturally than I had expected, though we carefully avoided certain topics. As we prepared to leave, Emma finally addressed the elephant in the room. "I've been thinking about why I changed so dramatically. It wasn't just jealousy of your financial situation. What was it then?" I asked, genuinely curious. "I think I've always defined myself in relation to you. As children, I was the responsible older sister. As young adults, I was the one with the stable life while you supported James's risky venture. When that dynamic suddenly flipped, I lost my identity. If I wasn't the more successful sister, who was I?" Her insight surprised me. "We don't have to define ourselves in comparison to each other," I suggested. "I know that now, but it took losing everything to figure it out." Emma met my eyes directly. "I'm not asking for things to go back to how they were. That's impossible. But I am asking for the chance to build something new. Something honest." "I think we're already starting that process," I acknowledged. "But Emma, there's one thing I need you to understand. I can forgive the past, but I'll never forget how easily you discarded Sophie. Any relationship moving forward has to include absolute respect for my daughter." "I understand completely," Emma replied, her expression solemn. "And I'll spend the rest of my life trying to make that right with her." The following Christmas marked a new chapter for our families. Emma and the twins joined us at our parents' home, along with several other family members who had distanced themselves during the conflict. The celebration wasn't perfect, occasional awkward silences punctuated the gathering, and old tensions sometimes surfaced in subtle ways. But watching Sophie and her cousins giggling together over board games, I felt a profound sense of gratitude for this imperfect reconciliation. As we prepared to leave, Emma embraced me tightly. "Thank you," she whispered, "for giving me a second chance I didn't deserve." "Maybe forgiveness isn't about deserving," I replied softly. "Maybe it's about recognizing that none of us makes it through life without making serious mistakes." Driving home that night, I reflected on the painful journey our families had traveled. The wealth that had initially driven us apart had ultimately revealed our true characters, both Emma's insecurities and status obsession, and my own capacity for forgiveness and boundary setting. While our relationship would never return to the uncomplicated closeness of our youth, we had found a way forward built on hard-earned honesty and mutual respect. Life has a way of bringing unexpected lessons through its most painful experiences. In our case, money didn't change us, it simply revealed who we truly were all along. And in that revelation, painful as it was, lay the opportunity for genuine growth and healing. Has someone in your family ever let jealousy destroy a relationship that mattered to you? I'd truly love to hear your stories in the comments. Your experiences might help others who are going through similar family dramas know they're not alone. If you found any wisdom in our journey of broken trust and gradual healing, please hit that like button and subscribe to join our community of people healing from family trauma. Share this with someone who might need to hear that sometimes the hardest family relationships can find a path to resolution, even after the deepest betrayals. Thank you for being here with me today, and remember, sometimes the family we rebuild after conflict can be stronger than the one we had before.